Now, Sean Diley is TalkSport's political correspondent. He's a man about Westminster and Whitehall, increasingly recognised and respected there. I can tell you that first hand. Now, if there's anyone can explain David Cameron's happiness agenda, it'll have to be Sean. Sean, welcome to the show, my friend.
It's good to be here and good to be talking to you all the way over in Canada as you are, George.
Now, has there ever been a more fatuous expenditure of £2 million than the expenditure of that amount to find out if we're happy?
Well, see, this is for you, George, and the TalkSport listeners to judge. Certainly it's a question I stuck out on my own Twitter feed earlier. I'll read you a couple. I had one here from David McLean, who said, no, it's pointless. Dr. Carol Cooper, friend of TalkSport, she says, no, happiness is almost impossible to measure, even if we all know what it is. Last one I'll read to you is from somebody calling himself Tory Bear, Harry Cole. He takes account of you, and he says, yes, £2 million is small fry for the benefits we'll bring, and it's a small fraction of government spending in an hour. Now, of course, that's true. We're spending around about £1,500 every single second paying our debt interest, £129 million each and every day. And so, yes, it's true. If you really want to say it's small fry, it is small fry. But how many £2 million do you need to spend out before it begins to mount up? But can we be clear, George? This isn't entirely just a happiness measure. What this is a political gimmick to make sure that people feel part of this big society, that people feel that they're actually involved, and there's a consultation ongoing at the moment which closes in April.
So what are they measuring? Are they asking us? Are they trying to bring up an index? I mean, are we creating a happiness index?
Sort of. I mean, there's a little bit of history to this. Tony Blair looked into this when he was Prime Minister, how we actually go about sort of measuring people's well-being in that case. Now, he gave the idea up, and bear in mind, whatever anybody might think about Tony Blair, I think many people would regard him to be on the statesman level, like him or loathe him. He regarded such a plan to be too flaky, to quote. Now, David Cameron flirted with this idea back in 2005 when he was running for leadership of the Conservative Party against David Davis, the former Shadow Home Secretary. But actually, it might surprise listeners to know that Britain isn't the first place to look to do this. The European Commission, the World Bank, and indeed the United Nations have already commissioned very similar things. In the United Kingdom, the model is that people are asked about inequality in society. Of course, all they need to do is listen to The Week with George Galloway on TalkSport, obviously, to get a little bit of an insight into where people feel there are inequalities in life. Now, what's being said by government ministers, what's being said at the very top ends of Whitehall, is that government will listen to what's being said and it will influence policy. I can only underline again that there is a very clear theme within this coalition government of pushing out consultations and giving the impression of listening to the public. Time will tell how much listening is actually done and how much acting is done, but consultations are the gimmick of the moment.
Sean Diley, TalkSport's political correspondent, explaining, as best as anyone could explain, the happiness index, the happiness agenda of the Prime Minister, David Cameron. It's George Galloway, it's The Week, it's TalkSport. I'll be back after the news.